Hey, how you doing? I'm gonna do a video. It's an overview of the garden. We started last year with a raised bed. We don't have a lot of room in a good area of our yard to plant a gardening ground, so I figured we'd start with this. Um, Last year, Andrea planted squash, which quickly overgrew this entire bed. Uh, but we got a lot of yield out of it. So this year, life got busy, and Andrea didn't really have time to start the garden early. So I jumped in kind of late in the season. In June is really when we started. By that point, I knew seeds were going to take too long, so I picked up some seedlings from Home Depot, specifically some spinach, broccoli, a couple tomatoes, and some peppers. So those grew well. We've already harvested the broccoli, and I have pictures that I will try to import into this video later on. Broccoli was a huge plant. I wasn't quite expecting the size, but we got a couple meals out of what we were able to harvest. So this in here is spinach, which I actually replanted from seed later in the season. It's been incredibly dry and hot all summer long, so we've been constantly watering this. Unfortunately, with me not having to work, I can come out a couple times a day and try to tackle that project. So this is actually looking a lot better. Temperatures have started cooling off now, and it's growing very well. We did transplant or plant another pepper from seed. I think this is a tequila sunrise, and I have another one under here. It's really small. Put the cover over it to try to keep it warm, especially at night. It was getting into the 40s, and they grow much better when it's warm. The hot peppers do anyway. So I did plant another broccoli. This is from seed. It's really had a hard time to get going. I don't know if it's more of a cool weather crop, but it's again, having some issues. And I threw some garlic in here. That's been growing nicely. Just a bulb from something we bought at the store. We had a little piece left, and I just stuck it in the ground to see what would happen. And then this is, I think it's called salad bowl lettuce. That was also from seed that I just dropped in here. And I've already harvested this once, and this is growing back nicely. We had bib lettuce earlier. That also grew nicely. That was from seed. So we're just doing kind of an experimental thing this year. We'll try to see what grows, what we have space for, what has good harvest. What can we store? Certainly we eat the greens. The guinea pigs eat the greens, so that goes quickly. The broccoli, we eat that. We can freeze that. The garlic, when I'm able to harvest it, we eat a lot of garlic, so that'll be a good thing. And I'll move on to the other plants. So as I said earlier, we're trying to do container gardening, and this year we decided to branch out from just the raised bed to some 5-gallon buckets, and also tried some milk jug gardening to see how that worked. So I'm going to start with this plant. This is cucumbers. They call them straight 8 cucumbers. They're best harvested when they're about 8 inches. We've got a really good harvest out of this. It took a long time for it to start producing fruit. And the thing just grew just exponentially, it seems. It started as about a 4 or 6 inch plant that I picked up from Home Depot. Just kept watering it. It just kept growing, but it wasn't producing fruit. So my mom suggested that I just trim the tops of it, a few of it, which I did. And it started producing fruit within a couple days of me doing that. So something good to remember for next year. Right now the plant actually isn't looking as green and lush as it was before, but again, we've had a huge temperature drop off. It was 90 degrees a week or two ago. This thing needs to be watered twice a day, especially once it started producing fruit. They grow quickly. Sometimes we'll just find fruit in there that we had no idea was growing, and all of a sudden it's ready to harvest. So on each one of these 5-gallon buckets, I did drill a drain hole, as you can see here. So I'm not worried about overwatering these. I put about a gallon and a half of water in uh, twice a day. So it's getting about 2 to 3 gallons of water a day. Um, I also started doing some fertilizing. As I noticed some of the leaves, this might be from an iron deficiency, but I am using a tomato and fruiting plant fertilizer, and I also have a calcium, magnesium, iron supplement that I just started adding a couple weeks ago. So, but as you can see, these are fruiting nicely. There's another one that's just about ready to be harvested too in here. So some of the issues we've had with this, I do have some of this mildew, powdery mildew. I have been spraying with, it started very slow, and I was just clipping the few leaves that were infected, but as the cold weather came, and I don't know why the cold weather, but it just, everything just became infected. So I started using a copper-based spray that seems to take care of a lot of the problem. So now the other issue with this is, the height of it. Originally, there is a trellis in there, and it's like a 3-level trellis. I used some lumber from around the yard, or sticks, from trees that I had trimmed, or branches that had fallen, and tied them up with twine. Made a nice pyramidal base and a trellis, and it goes up pretty high. It's about just under 6 feet high, and just the weight of the plant and everything, I needed more support because it was starting to blow around too much. I was concerned about it possibly tipping, so I ended up tying it off to a hook that was up here for a wind chime earlier, and that seems to help support it. So we're going to move on to the tomatoes next. So in here, we did grow this in last year too, in this container. Tomatoes did pretty well last year, though nothing like they are this year. We have Romas on the left and San Marzanos on the right. I'm not a big tomato guy, but I do like, spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce. So yeah, tomatoes are very versatile with that. Same salsa, we can cook these down, chop them up, whatever, into something that everyone's gonna like. So we, again, started 2 plants, about 6 inches tall, got them from Home Depot, and the San Marzanos are indeterminate, the Roma is a determinate. So I've been trying to trim these back, especially early on in the growth, but they've gone crazy. Originally, I had this trellis, and it was holding up pretty well. I was able to clip some of the plants off to it, but it's just gone crazy. This also gets about 3 gallons a day, split up between two different times, usually once in the morning and then again in the evening. And as we can see here, these squirrels love getting into this and burying things. So I buried an acorn. Earlier we were having problems. We started having groups of sunflowers growing in this, because the squirrels were digging in the dirt and burying a mouthful of sunflowers. So they fortunately stopped doing that after a while. But yeah, very happy with the tomato harvest. We did lose, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so to bottom end rot, which was before I really started fertilizing and doing calcium supplements. And we lost a few to insects, primarily those the worms that come from those white moths that fly around. I forget the exact name of them, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But, yeah, so after some research, I found lots of research on this. I found that you can take